Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here. Today, I wanted to do a remake of a topic that I did a long time ago, back when I had really limited exposure, but it kind of got to the point where I figured it should be in two separate videos. Uh, this being the first, and then I'm going to make another part, but probably not another part, just a partner video to this, which would be my own personal recommendation for a DBD tournament rule set. However, DBD tournaments, people got no idea what the fuck they're doing with Dead by Daylight tournaments, ladies and gentlemen. Some people like Scott John say, you can't do a DBD tournament, there's too many variables. Which, I mean, the only one he has a legit point on is map RNG. The rest we can deal with. But, fucking... But then there's people that try, and it's just a big mess, bro. DBD tournaments are just a big fucking disaster. Because nobody wants to do them right. Like, no one wants to do it right. It's like, this concept is great if you just did it right. And again, before we start with all this, I'm aware you can't do a DBD tournament without a truly good DBD tournament without the complete and utter removal of map RNG. How that's not an option yet, I don't know. Like, fucking Resident Evil Resistance had it. I don't know. I just don't know why map RNG is still in this game. Okay? But, say we have to work with what we got. Okay? Pretend we gotta work with what we got and we're doing the DBD tournament. Because people have done them before, so map RNG clearly doesn't stop everybody from talking about this and even doing it, okay? So when we're talking about DBD tournaments, the most obvious one that comes to mind is the one from last year, Hexy's Best of the Best. Okay, when this fucking shit started, I didn't even comment on it. I didn't even comment on it except when it was brought up on my streams, if anyone remembers that. Because the basis is that this rule set was so terrible. Like, anybody involved with this whole thing wasted their time. Like, that's how bad it was. This rule set was so bad and unsalvageable. I can't believe it didn't screw over more people. Like, that's how bad it was. At least it happened to Otz, because people respect. At least it happened to him. I'm glad it happened to him, because if there was one person, it should have... If there was one person that I'm glad it happened to, it would be him. Because people can... I think the fact that it happened to him can make people see that this rule set was just pure garbage. I didn't even pay attention to this while it was going on. People say, you watch the best of the best? No, I'm not watching the best of the best, because if you're not going to have a good rule set, you can't determine who the best of the best are. The tournament was a complete waste of fucking time, and anybody that wasted their time with it, I legitimately feel bad for, and I wish I could give you those hours back. I would cut those hours out of my own life just to give you them back. That's how bad I feel for you. True Talent, good job, dude. Good job not going to this shit. Or maybe he didn't get invited because he would have trashed it the whole time. Which, you know what? Good on you, True. This shit was a fucking shits for the birds. Okay? So let's go into it and then watch the instance of it screwing over Oats. Okay?
The teams have a map pool that the map will randomly be selected from.
The map will randomly be selected. There's your first problem, ladies and gentlemen. The map randomly being selected, maybe I just play Smash Brothers, but the map randomly being selected is not good in a game like this because the maps have a lot of variation. You see, in games like Street Fighter and shit, it doesn't matter. However, when there's a lot of maps with variation in this game, randomly selecting the map is just fucking terrible. That's the first thing that you gotta acknowledge. Like, you see how Smash does it. Smash has a lot of different stages, each with variations where it can be difficult or better for certain characters. Just like this game. We can't compare Dead by Daylight to other games! Fuck off, bruh. Okay, so since we intellectuals know you can compare it to other games, so what do? The same thing you do for Smash. Even Identity V doesn't understand this. I have no idea how their stage selection process works. But anyway. In Smash, you do rock, paper, scissors, and the fucking person that wins picks the stage. And then the loser gets to counterpick. Like, there's an added element of strategy involved. Just saying, bro, the stages are randomly selected, bro. The maps are randomly selected. That's the first slap in the face to any real player of this game. Like, I could end it here. I could end the whole discussion there. As soon as they said the maps are randomly selected, you should have turned this fucking garbage off. Like, that's how you know it's bullshit. Oh, look at that. The killer got the bad map. It's over, guys. Like, that's how you should have known right from the get-go that this was going to be a fucking shit show.
There is currently a hill bug in Dead by Daylight. Hopefully none of you have experienced that personally, but
the hill bug.
I'm hoping most of you know what that is. We have determined that it is best for this week of the tournament. to remove all of the maps affected by the hill bug. So that is going to
Or you could have just pushed the fucking thing back until the hook bug was patched, which is what I would have done.
be all of the Macmillan maps, all of the Order Haven maps, and all of the Crotus Pen maps. And so that will leave
Oh
9
no!
maps that can be
Disturbed
randomly
Ward is
selected for
banned!
one, including Shelter Woods, which is a Macmillan map, but Shelter Woods doesn't spawn hills, so we don't have to worry about that. Using a random number generator, we will select
Random
that
number
map.
generator,
The teams
bruh.
will be informed
Random number generator, in case you didn't think Dead by Daylight had enough map RNG.
map selection, and from then the teams will have to select a killer to play on that map. They have full choice of which killer they pick.
Oh,
All
wow, well,
20
that's
killers
good.
in Dead by Daylight are available for pick.
Well,
And in the round of
that's
16,
good to hear. You don't have to worry about them banning the fucking Demogorgon since he's so broke.
there are no limitations on which killer can be picked. There are going to be slight changes when we get into the double elimination, but we'll talk about that next week. when we
Yeah,
get
I
there.
couldn't find that, so
Once
I'm
they
not
pick
worried
their
about
killer,
it.
a coin toss will be had to determine which team will start on killer, which team will start on survivor.
I
and
don't
then we'll
mind
get
that too much. I don't really care about that. But, yeah, I still think that, you know, if people that win the rock, paper, scissors should get that decision. But that's how I do it. We'll deal with that later. People that won the rock, paper, scissors should get to decide which role they want to start with. But, you know, whatever. A lot on the line for a game of rock, paper, scissors. Maybe I'll event it, but we'll see.
into it. These teams are going to play 2 games, one with their killer and one with their survivor. And at the end of these 2 games,
Here's your next problem, ladies and gentlemen. 2 games. That's your first problem. No, in no other like game like this do they do. Oh, you're gonna play 2 games. Okay. Now maybe in some FPSs and shit, maybe that's how. Like maybe they're basing this format off of different types of games. I'm basing my format off fighters, which is how I think should be done, and that's how Identity V does it as well. Identity V has a really, really good rule set, and we'll get to it. I have a video of it kind of saved, and we can go over it. Then I'll explain everything, so I'll fill in the gaps. But Identity V does theirs based off fighters, and I think that's really the best way to do it. Because again, the more matches you have, the more likely you are to get a match with the RNG in your favor, especially in Dead by Daylight. I think the less matches you play, the more RNG has an impact in screwing someone over. So again, if you're not doing a best 2 of 3 format, you're immediately, again, that you should have shut this off as soon as we've now determined 2 things that made this tournament a complete and utter waste of time. How does Dowsey not know what he's talking about? I just don't get it.
we'll have a final score, which will determine who the winner is.
And then the final
in
score,
this
bruh.
match. As far as scoring is concerned, it's about as simple as we could make it.
Okay, now here is the critical flaw. Here is the icing on the cake, bruh. Now, you just heard the other stuff, you know, the other stuff, I agree. I think they're pretty big issues, but if you can't agree with those, and like those are just kind of smaller things to you, here is the icing on the cake that made the whole thing a fundamental waste of time. How points are scored. Okay, listen to this shit.
For this tournament. For the survivors, if they complete a generator, they will score 2 points. And if they escape via either the exit gate or hatch, they will also score 2 points.
Okay, my issue with the survivor scoring. This is just too much, bruh. It's just too much. Now, I can kind of see what they're going for. They're going for the survivors should still score some points based on the amount of work they get done in the match, but I just don't agree with that. They're still losing. You don't score a point in any fighter just because you did well in the match. If you lost, you don't get diddly squat. I don't see why that kind of mentality is an issue. Okay, but however, that's not the flaw. Okay, that's all high fine and dandy. They want to award the survivors for getting 4 gens done and still losing. You still got some points in the game. Okay, fine. Agree to disagree. Here's the thing that makes it hard.
Making it a total of 10 points available for generators, and then another 8 points available for escaping. So a total of 18 points can be scored on your survivor round. For the killer,
Here it is.
we are doing things like this. Each individual hook will count as a point. Just to clarify, that is the actual action of hooking, not the survivor going into a second hook state. It has to be the hook. When this survivor dies on the hook, or they will also get a point. So there's a total of 4 points available per survivor. That's for 3 hooks and one for the survivor dying for 16 points total. And
Okay, so the very, very, very first thing is that the killer round has less points available to them. So killer round 16, survivor 18. You can score more points being on survivor. That technically makes the survivors a more powerful role within the tournament, because you can win more points based on survivor, and that's horseshit. Both sides should have the same amount of points that are available to be earned within the game, like Identity V does. In Identity V's rule set, survivor escaping is 1 point. And if all 4 survivors get out, you get 5 instead of 3. Like you don't get to score 4 points. If 3 survivors get out, you score 3. If all 4 get out, you get 5. If killer, same thing for killer. If the killer kills 3, you get 3 points. And if the killer gets all of them, then the killer gets 5 points. No side is more powerful than the other in terms of the point disparity. That's something I feel like they got really wrong here. And then, of course, the real thing that fucking makes this entire thing a complete waste of time is that the awarding, like the actual like mistake of like if somebody actually hits stage 2, the killer doesn't get any points for that. When you're saying, oh wow, well the killer can just face camp you, and then the killer, oh my gosh, or the killer can just slug. God forbid we have killers in the games who are sluggers. That inherently makes the twins less good in this environment, and Oni less good in this environment. Like the way this is set up, like the killers have no freedom. The killers have to play the game a very, 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 very specific way, whereas survivors is just get the gens done and get out. Killers have to play the game a very, 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 very specific way for this tournament to allow them to succeed, which again limits the roster, bruh. Because, okay, Nurse and Spirit, yeah, Nurse may slug, and that's the optimal way to play her, but Nurse can pretty much play the game however she wants to play it. Nurse can 12 hook, she can do that. Nurse can do whatever she wants. Okay? Nurse can fucking, I guess you can just keep, if you're gonna slug, you can just keep slugging. But on a character like Oni, whose slugging is on a timer, that's just not how he plays the game. I guess the twins can do it, but not Oni. Oni's slugging's on a fucking timer, pretty much. And if you don't get everybody down, it's going to be harder to get them down. But, yeah, I digress. But the main reason why that's an issue, that's just, like, why slugging is bad. The main reason why this is so trash is that the survivors have control on their own hook meter. If you were going to do something like this, that would at least need to be banned. But it wasn't here. And that's how Oats got eliminated. And I'll show you in just 1 second how Oats got eliminated. That's how he lost, because the survivors have control over the hook meter. And to be fair, I'm not going to say that the other team purposely did this, because if they were purposely trying to knock Oats out through a technicality, they could have done it. Like within seconds, now he does kill, we'll get to that. But, the point is here, that since the survivors have control over their hook meter, they can control how many points the killer gets, which is what happens. And, if the survivor decides, oh, I'm going to kill myself on hook 2, I could, all you have to do to win this tournament is to have a good survivor round. You want to play survivor first, win, and then immediately just start one-hooking yourself so the killer gets less points. And that is fucking trash. And the reason I get so mad about this is everyone goes, wow, didn't you see that fucking tournament? That tournament was shit for the birds. And the only reason this rule set didn't get exploited was because people had too much respect for their opponents not to exploit it. Because this was terrible. This was terrible. And I can't believe the rules only got exploited one time. This rule set was really, really, really bad. It was horrible. This was some of the worst rule set I think I've ever seen in my life for a tournament. Because, I cannot believe these only got exploited once. If there was, $1 million, and again, this was probably just for funsies, maybe a small cash prize, I forget. But if there was $1 million on the line here, ladies and gentlemen, if you people are playing for $1 million, you're gonna see a lot more of this shit. Even for, thousands of dollars, you'd see people fucking do this. They'd fucking want to be on Survivor first, and then they would one-hook themselves to screw the killer out of getting points. Because you have a bad rule set, because we don't like slugging, we don't like camping, we're going to limit those things. We're going to make them worse in our tournament rule set. Go fuck yourself, buddy. by limiting these things because you deem them unfun, you give the survivors more chances to do bullshit that you'd have to work in. Okay? And since this didn't work in, you had shit like this happen. I think that's pretty much it here.
For killing the survivor, we won't count any hook stage.
That's just some special stuff. Here's how Oates got eliminated.
No deliverance on Dr. Rock.
Now, see, here's the problem here. The score is 21-16. Okay? Basically, if this guy, he's on the ground right now, has not been hooked yet. Which means if he gets unhooked, like, he gets another hook point. Because the hook, when he goes on the hook, he's going to be worth 1. So 17 when he gets hooked. And then when he dies, it'll be 18. Right? Because he gets one hook. Because because the transition from stage 1 to stage 2 doesn't count. And then he dies. So that survivor's worth 2 points. And then the other survivor, I believe, is only worth 1. Look, okay, he's on the hook.
Currently hiding.
So his score went up to 17.
Nightlight currently hiding on the opposite side of the map.
Now, again, if they were trying to screw him, like, I'm not blaming Agony or saying they cheated, they exploited the rules, they should, like, I'm not blaming them, okay? Because if they were trying to exploit the rules, the guy would be killing himself on hook immediately right now. They clearly just didn't know. Now, he does kill himself, like, right
it
here.
Seems like Nightlight.
Yeah, and they said, I don't think they know that this game is over.
Doesn't have...
Listen.
On the opposite side of the map of the hook, trying to just keep distance between him, and I suspect that's exactly what they're attempting to do here, is let Dr. Rock's timer run out on this first stage so that he doesn't have a chance of wiggling off the hook himself. Then look for the hatch escape on Nightlight to secure the victory.
A little bit scary. I don't know if any of the teams know. It seems like Nightlight has been spending a lot of time over in this corner of the match, though, so possibly knowing what's up. And there was that trap placed earlier in the match in this general vicinity. Remember, he was trapping up the doors, so if that trap is still there...
Basically, what the issue here is, you can see their hook counters at the bottom, okay? What's-his-face, Dr. Hook or whatever, he's about to die. Votes is going to get a point because he's going to kill himself on hook, and they're not going to get the rescue. Okay? Then, once fucking Nightlight here is captured and hooked, he may only have 2 hook states, but he has only been hooked once. So basically, Alt is getting robbed of a point because of the bad rules. So once this game ends, it's going to be 21-20, and Agony's going to win through an exploit of the bad rules. Okay, this stuff cannot fucking happen. Okay, it's one thing that map RNG is screwing you over, and it's like, oh, well, map RNG is bad. Yeah, we can say that, but, like, lol, we can kind of play around it. This, however, is just bullshit. Okay, and it's a complete insult to my intelligence.
Accidentally.
Now, I don't...
just barely off.
It's an insult to my intelligence when you're sitting here saying that Alt's lost the game when he only lost because of the bad rules. And it's a complete insult. You're sitting here going, "Wow, oh, it's unfortunate to watch."
Man, it's so sad to watch.
It's so sad to watch, bro. It's so sad to watch. The killer just played a fucking great game against a good team, but our shitty rule set screws him over because the survivors killed himself on hook. It's dumb. It's dumb and it's fucking trash. Okay? And this kinds of shit is the stuff you have to knock out of tournaments. If you're ever going to make a tournament realistically work, people were watching this and laughing. I guarantee it. They were watching this and going, what the fuck is this? This is just garbage. Okay? And the reason I bring this up entirely is because True actually mentioned it on his stream. He didn't mention...
if I were to do...
he didn't mention the best of the best tournament, but he was asked about tournaments, and this was his response. And even True kind of gets it wrong.
Tournament, how I will do it. And I'm kind of just thinking of ideas and kind of, you know, speaking them out loud to you guys. It'd be based on hooks, nothing else, not Jen's done. Or...
Okay, now not Jen's done, I like that, but however, he's still the hook counter. But the way that True describes it is that True's is much more fixable. True's is much more fixable. All you have to do to fix True's, as he's about to describe it, is just that, well, the transition between stage 1 and stage 2 is still worth a point. That's how you fix it.
Anything, it'd just be based on hooks. Obviously, if you escape by getting all 5 gens, they're probably going to get many hooks, is it?
So basically, the True's is different because the survivors can't earn any points at all. It's all about how much you deny the killer of hooks. So,
obviously, both players would have teams of 5. Ruin would be 1 perk. The killer You don't get that. Ruin would be a perk the killer has to use. But the survivors can't cleanse. And
I do not agree with that. Okay? That's what I don't agree with. Okay? Making Ruin a perk that survivors just can't cleanse. First of all, it says that all other hexes inherently have to be banned because you can't cleanse Ruin. So because you can't cleanse Ruin, Devour Hope is banned inherently because you can't use it. Why would the survivors are banned from cleansing totems? Then you can't use any other hex perk because that just means there's no counterplay to them. Okay, so that weeds out that. Now I agree that he's suggesting that Ruin, like, I agree with the core concept of the killers need to get stronger. If you're gonna do tournaments, this is his way of making killers stronger. Just shut out the hex mechanic entirely, make Ruin base, and like survivors not be allowed to touch it. Okay, it's a way of making the killer's gen defense stronger. Okay, now that's all fine and dandy, but like that's something that like he's artificially changing the game to make it work. Like, I don't agree with that. I don't think there should be any core rule changes to the game. He's just saying, okay, well, since killers' gen defense suck, killers have to bring Ruin, and the survivors can't touch it to make artificial changes that the devs just won't fucking do. Like, the tournaments should be used to push balance changes. That's the most important thing about tournaments. I truly believe if you want this to work, you have to have a few tournaments where the killers go in and just get absolutely fucked. You have to make that happen. If your tournaments are not designed to make the killer role in its current state get absolutely fucked, you're not doing it right. I get he says that he wants it to be interesting, but I understand that, but like if you want to have a more interesting game, if you want to have a better game, we have to do this. We have to get over that first step. And that first step is making the devs see how bad killer is right now. We will get a good game if we get the balance changes we need. Artificially changing the game's rules to fucking make the shit work, I just don't agree with that. Every perk should be legal at all times. Except for Object of Obsession, I would ban that. But, except that one.
Maybe all survivors should have... I really want the new DS to be out before I do this tournament, because then I'd probably have all survivors to have DS.
See, I don't agree with that either. If the survivor doesn't run DS, you don't have to be optimal. You don't have to. It's a tournament. It's your choice. You can do whatever you want. I want every perk legal at all times. That's... Except for, again, Object Obsession would be banned. And then the killer could ban a few as well, but we'll go into my ban system. I have a ban system I like to incorporate. But my main point is this, overall. Artificially changing the game's rules, I just don't, agree with that. Anything that's done here is made to artificially change the rules of the game. Even the last one, they artificially changed the rules of the game just because they don't like something in the game. So it's camping and slugging. Even True's I want people to be good in chase, and True doesn't think that it's skillful for a killer to find someone outpositioned and then they get downed pretty fast, and there's nothing they really could have done about it. Okay, well, you know what? I don't agree with shitting on that aspect of killer. I don't think we're going to blame the killer for being an opportunist. If the survivor gets outflanked and outpositioned, yeah, you can blame the spawn locations, but, for fuck's sake, bruh. I don't want, if the killer finds somebody outpositioned and gets the free down, good for them. It's if the survivors spawn and they start an early game gen rush, good for them. It's literally two sides of the same coin. No one's going to accuse them of being so fucking skillful and good and Gucci, but at the same time, that shit's just part of the game. And the same way that no one's going to say, wow, the fucking Palutena players are so good because they got seeded with the little mag in bracket. RNG is just a naturally part of a tournament system. It's just because of seeding. Seeding is most RNG, and there's a little bit more of it in Dead by Daylight. I understand that counter argument. There's still more RNG. But at the same time, that's just the game we play. Spawn locations are a part of other fucking games as well, and no one bitches about them. At least I would hope not. I'm certain you could find someone that breaks that rule. And you know what? If the spawn locations become a too big problem, and tournaments are telling you that, that's something the devs can fix. The good thing about tournaments inherently is that they tell the devs what to change. Like, you can't have a tournament because Iridescent Head. Get Iridescent Head out of the game. You can't have a tournament because the survivors are just gen rush the whole time. Get gen rushing out of the game. Tournaments help you fix the game inherently because they fucking tell you what to fix. They fucking shine a big light on what needs fixed. That's why they're good. And that's why anybody that doesn't want one is actively trying to hurt the game. Okay, let's move on to our last video today. This is Identity V's tournament rule set. It's kind of in fucking Chinese, so I'm gonna fucking just censor it a little bit. Here is how Identity V does it. This is the best rule set that you see. This rule set works. It's been working for years. This is how they use their MMR system. This is how Identity V literally does everything. And it works. It's based off one thing, kills and not kills. Okay? I know that Patrick just said that kills versus not kills was bad, guys. It's bad. That didn't even ship out live to you. Just trust us. It's bad. I know they said, but there's a game with counter evidence against that point. Identity V's competitive scene is working. It's been working since it came out. The MMR system is working, and it's been working since it came out. Okay? So, what is a time-tested, actually... Of course, they've had to amend it just a little bit, but this is from Call of the Abyss 2, and the core has been the same. Here's the core of the Identity V rule set. Okay? Here's how their tournaments work. Their major tournaments where they fucking have money on the line. This is how they work. Okay? So there's 16 teams. Okay? I'm sure that I don't know what they're doing there, but... Okay. There's all your teams. There they are, boys. There's the brackets. Don't this look good? Why aren't we doing this? There's the brackets. Okay. Best of 5 and best of 3. There you go. Already a significant fucking improvement. You see best of 5 and best of 3. As I said, especially for Dead by Daylight, the best of 5, best of 3 method that fighters use is definitely the way that these games need to go. It makes for some long sets. Fuck, trust me, because you got to play 2 games for every first round. So that means every round has 2 games. So it's, even if a game is only last 2 rounds, it gets played. And then if there's a chance that the other team can come back and win in round 3, the game gets played anyway. So, most of the time, all 3 or 5 matches are being played. So you get some long sets with this. And then, even if the other team, wins, they'll still gentlemen's and play the last one anyway. So a lot of the times, all 6 matches are being played. So you can have some hour-long sets here. These are some long sets. Which is a con, admittedly, because I don't know if people can... A lot of people don't have that attention span. I personally love it. I love the long sets. But a lot of the sets are just, an hour and a half long. And I love that about this. But... that is, admittedly, every set does take a lot of time. And that's the biggest weakness. Well, that's not even the biggest weakness. That's just, admittedly, a con that I could see someone saying about it. The sets are too long. But anyway, here's how this works, okay? All 4 survivors cannot pick the same player. Which, admittedly, I don't... They didn't clarify that. In Identity V, that's a bigger significance because each survivor has a power. But it's still annoying when you see all the survivors on the same character. Okay, that needs to be a rule that is laid out for the survivors so that they understand, and that the audience understands that they cannot pick the same character. So no 4 blendettes. Okay, now again, this is how it works. Okay, basically this is going into the fact that every team has a killer and a survivor, and then it flips. So basically, 1 round of Identity V is the entire Dowsy's best of the best setup. That's the entire setup. Because, this 1 round of the tournament is what Dowsy's entire tournament, Hexy and Dowsy, their entire tournament was based off of. Okay? And then, I guess that's something about a coin flip there. I don't agree with how maps are picked. I don't agree with how maps are picked. And then it flips. And then here's how best of 3 works. And then they do bans. Survivors are banned. 2 survivors banned round 3. 1 survivor banned round 1. And then the survivors get bans as well. But their banning works a little differently. So here's how it works. Stuff gets banned. So, in round 1, killers can go, what dead hard? What dead hard, son? I don't see a dead hard. Banned. Dead Hard would be universally banned every single match by top level killers. And then that's kind of the other then the other thing that we go into it is, again, all points are, so every match there's a potential of 5 points to be awarded to each side. You get 1 point out for every survivor killed and 1 point for every survivor escaped. If you get a 4K or a 4-man escape, you get 5 points instead of 4. And then they play that for 3 rounds. Whoever's got the most points at the end wins. Very, very simple. No bullshit. No fucking style of play is being compromised or criticized in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the meta of this game is entirely camping, which, yes, I do wish they would strive away from that. However, that's how it works. If you watch this tournament, you're going to see lots of face camping. And you know what? The players don't bitch about it. The players don't bitch about it. Because that's just what killers do, and you know that if you're going to play this game. Okay? One of the biggest problems with DBD is we have an undisciplined player base that they want their exact way of playing, and what they feel like it shouldn't be allowed. That shit just shouldn't be allowed to them because they're not very disciplined. Okay, and that type of mentality shows in all of our rule sets. If you had discipline, you would know that there's only one way to actually fucking do this. And it's the way that they do it right here, where everything is fine and legal at all times, except for what gets banned in between rounds. Okay? Now, that's kind of what we're doing here, bro. We're done with this fucking shit. Tune into my video, and we'll talk over about my rule set for Dead by Daylight that we'll do next time.